Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 27th, 2018 meeting of the Litchfield Board of Selectmen. The board members are coming out of a paperwork review. I'd like to call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And also, just like to mention that apparently, I guess no matter what persuasion you are, we certainly feel a loss with Senator McCain's passing, and we wish his family the best. And we will start with the review and approval of the items of consent, which include the meeting minutes of July 13th, 2018. We have an accounts payable manifest, August 21st, of $45,290.54. August 28th, $16,548.89. We have a payroll manifest, 8/23/18, of $50,673.42. And 8/30/18 of $52,897.52. And we also have treasurer, tax collector, and town clerk reconciliations for July. Are there any items that members would like removed from the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve.
Motion to approve is read.
Moved by Mr. Brunel.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Schaefer. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 4-0-0. Are there any other items that members would like to have added to the agenda for today? Hearing none, I'll just announce that public input will occur no earlier than 6:30 tonight. And we'll go on to the regular business of the meeting. Tonight, we're starting the 2019 budget review. And we're happy to have some of the department heads that are up. Thank you for coming. And we'll start with the first budget we're going to review is town meeting. Mr. Brown.
Okay. So I'll just let the board know that at this point, the preparation of the budget is still being worked on today by other departments. We're still reaching out and getting some of the costs for insurance policies and other information that normally doesn't come in until about October, first part of November. So for the board, we begin the review process, but we do that knowing that some of the numbers we're working on right now are just based on our best estimate. For example, our health insurance estimates right now are just budgeted at a 10% increase. So that's a placeholder in the budget. We won't know that number, and like I said, until probably right around the first part of November. Okay, so with the town meeting, what I'll do is we typically just go through, just talk about some of the increases and decreases. Town meeting this year, we only have, in 2019, we're only going to have our deliberative session and the annual town meeting voting day. So there's a reduction there. You'll see last year we had budgeted for 2 other elections. So you can see a decrease there. Pretty much just the ballot clerks and the staffing. It's down about $1,100. Same thing with wages for the moderator. It's down $600. The programming for the ballot machines down $3,500. And we got a small increase in our ballots. We just starting to see that the increase in printing the ballots is an increase there. And we anticipate, more involvement by the community. So that's just up $190. $400 reduction in provisions. That's the food, drinks, and everything. And again, directly related to the reduction in the number of elections. So we have a total reduction this year, $5,400. It looks like right now we'd be recommending $10,503 to support the town meeting, town election cause.
Gentlemen, questions?
Are we gonna vote these in tonight, or are we gonna?
I wouldn't vote tonight. I think I'd
Wait till-
rather wait. We get, down to our last meeting, and then we can go through and vote.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, any questions? Any other questions for our town meeting? Okay. On to,
So the next one, I think it's town clerk.
right.
And I'll go ahead, I'll go through and summarize. Terry's here to help me with any technical questions. But what you see here is basically, you can see minor increases in salaries. Those are directly related to the performance review that we've done this July. So those figures have been updated. There's also a reduction of $5,000 in salaries, and this is directly related to really just capturing our current staffing. We had an allowance in there when we were doing some changes in staffing, looking at having the hours open on a Thursday night. We had a lot of problems. We advertised several times, but they're really for the 20-hour part-time position with no benefits, just no interest whatsoever out there to be able to attract a good qualified candidate. So going back to or just maintaining the current hours that we currently have and have had for the past several years. You see the increase in health insurance. Again, that's directly related to just changing our census and projected increases. $968 decrease in the town clerk software. This is the software. This is your new software, Terry.
Yes.
For the town clerk's
Yep.
package. So as you know, Terry came before you back in like January of last year, December, and had talked to you about changing the software package. One of the things that she had told you was that the annual licensing fee would decrease, and we are seeing that as we project into 2019. So overall, we have a recommended budget of $110,851, represents a decrease of $2,707. And I did want to point out the last line, 811, under seminars and conventions. Terry has put in to do some additional training for her staff, especially Ann, where she's new. So we're trying to get them both. You'll see in the tax collector's budget, we're trying to get everyone to attend the spring workshops. And they're spread, there's like 3 or 4 of them that are spread throughout the state. So the office doesn't have to close. We'll just designate one person to go to the Seacoast, one go to Concord, and one goes to Nashua.
So it's still a reduction, right? Your total budget, all right?
Yes. Yep. The new software definitely, I mean, it's a great software, and there was a big reduction in that too, so.
Have you been able to adapt to it? Has
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
been able to adapt well to it, and
Definitely.
the operation is smooth?
I don't get any more calls.
What did you say?
I said, I don't get any more calls.
Oh, good.
It's much more reliable.
Don't call John is what we say.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions of the town clerk? Do you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to share with us?
No.
Okay,
Troy, you commented that you flatlined the insurance at 10%,
Yeah, but
but we didn't do it for the dental?
it didn't. Some of the departments you'll see a new cost because of change in staff. So sometimes it may not just work out to be 10%.
Yeah, no, one line looks like it's close to 10, but the dental insurance, we didn't carry anything.
Oh, dental, we did not change anything. Typically, we've not seen an increase. We haven't seen an increase in the last couple of years. If we see anything, maybe it's 2%. Dental's usually pretty consistent and flat.
Okay, if there's no further questions, let's go on to tax collecting.
So under the tax collection, one of the things just to really point out to you is that you'll see that as far as wages and benefits, we split those in half. So you'll see pretty much almost the identical same numbers for wages and benefits, because we budget half the employee's costs in town clerk and half in tax collection.
Okay,
And everything looks pretty much the same. We got another decrease here projected at $1,660. Total recommended budget of $110,100.
Terry, anything that you'd like to offer? Any?
No, I think everything's pretty much the same. There isn't much change there, except for, the spring workshops. I just think that, I think that we all should attend the spring workshops so that they can get, with all the law changes and everything with taxes and the same thing on the clerk side, there's so many changes that I just think if they both, if all three of us attend, that we're going to get more out of it rather than just myself going, and I just think it's better that way. So, but that's really the only changes that I have this year. So, and then the software last year on the clerk side, and everything else is the same.
John?
No questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the next, sanitation, Mr. Mellon. Welcome.
All right. So again, I'll go ahead and where is sanitation? 4321. I'll go ahead, Dave, and just go through the summary, and then you jump in with anything you want to add. Again, we've updated wages. So the same story. Wages have all been updated according to the wage increases that we had through the performance review process back in July. The only thing here that you'll see Dave and I, is more me than Dave, added. We have a line for overtime, but yet we've never budget the overtime and overtime expense. And you'll see in 2017, we had $3,700 of overtime costs. So that, it gets absorbed into the budget, into the bottom line of the total town budget. Dave and I took a look at where we're at right now with overtime, and we'd like to recommend that we have a placeholder there for $2,000 for overtime. Though, if it's approved, would continue to monitor it. Obviously, Dave works really hard at making sure we have the staffing available to meet the citizens' needs, but he is dealing with part-time employees, so it's difficult to manage the workload. So then you have the health insurance increase. Everything here is pretty small. Really down at the bottom, account number 693694. 693 is your solid waste demo disposal, and 694 is the solid waste disposal. So that's all your household trash. And what Dave does, he goes through a process where he looks back over actuals for previous years, and then he does a 12-month look back. So he does a run rate. And based on that information, he calculates how many tons he expects to dispose of in 2019 and the number of hauls that are required to transport that waste to the facilities. On top of that, adjusting the tonnage and hauls, we have a contract with Waste Management Services, and I think it's a 3% increase this year. 3% is applied to the hauling cost and 3% applied to the per ton disposal cost. So based on the trending analysis that we see going on right now, you have an increase for both those lines. Some of that's basically demand, and the other is the 3% increase. And that brings you down really for highlights. Dave's budget would be up $21,129. Again, a little over 10,000 of that is disposal costs, which we don't have a lot of control over. There's a recommended budget of $414,914.
Dave, just curiosity, I read the article. I remember you, I believe, had told us once that your glass, does that go to the New London crushing facility?
Presently, our glass is going over to Keene
Okay.
to be used as a road base.
Okay.
There's a new facility opening up in Lebanon. I guess just came across my desk about an hour ago, which won't help us at all. It's, the haul cost is what's the distance. There's some new regulations coming down on glass. It has to be clean, and we're no longer allowed to add the porcelain, the sinks, the toilets, the dishware, the ceramics, the knickknacks, and all that stuff we were putting in there before.
Right.
We're not allowed to, because a lot of the co-op has contracted with a company in Canada to take cleaner glass to recycle it into fiberglass and other cullet. So we have to, go with the new specs that came along with our glass. So we're basically turning that over. And that's another reason we have a little bit of an increase in the C&D line item for next year, because all that material was currently being processed through the co-op, and it was part of our recycling budget, and it was not into our C&D budget. And I don't have any way of knowing how much material we were doing with that, because it gets all mixed in. So there's changes there. We're still okay. We're still okay with the glass. And
So New London isn't the only facility that does that crushes the glass?
I wasn't even aware New London crushed glass, but
I don't know if they do it for outside. I know they do it for themselves.
yeah, I don't think they're a host site though.
Okay.
Yeah, the only host sites in New Hampshire, and they only had one, which was Keene. There used to be one in Goffstown. They closed.
That's the one you told me. Okay.
Goffstown, and then there was one in Hooksett that was up briefly and running, and they closed. And then the last resort was Keene, and once we ended up with Keene, it almost doubled my haul cost to truck the 14-ton
Okay.
out to there. But the co-op's working to find another town that closer
Sure.
to help out the existing towns around this area to alleviate some of the hauling costs.
Sure. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, questions for Mr. Neal?
No question.
Just drink beer out of a can instead of a bottle.
Yeah, well,
It'll help. It'll help the town.
probably could pay for everything in my budget if that was the case. It really would be good. Yeah. Yeah, that would be sweet. Yeah, just so people know out there, I just sold recently a 53-foot truckload of aluminum cans, and we got pretty close to $8,000, and that's in a bad recycling market.
Wow.
I have been known to get over $11,000 for a truckload of aluminum cans. So it does. That's the one people want to really switch over. I don't know if they want to, but that would help out a lot. That and drink a little more.
Yeah. I don't know if I can do that, but
That's heavy.
Yeah.
That's true.
All right. If there's no further, Dave, do you have any questions or comments for us? Anything you want to share?
No,
All set?
I'm good.
Thanks
Thank
again
you.
for your good work, and we appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you very much.
thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Troy.
Thanks.
Road maintenance. It's our esteemed road agent, Mr. Pinciaro. Welcome.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. And yourself?
Wonderful.
You wanted your vacation a little
Oh, yeah.
too short?
Wasn't long enough, I know.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to start with the road agent? We have two budgets, road agent, and then we have road maintenance. So road agent is account number 4311.
Okay, let's start with that.
All right. No changes. Zero increase. So, as you know, Jack plays two roles here. He's the road agent appointed by the board, and also the highway manager. So as road agent, he receives an annual stipend of $1,000. No change there. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is the consulting engineering services. So we have two items. There's no change. Under construction design and project assistance, this is the only place that you'll find in the budget where we turn to for our engineering services when we have to contract out that type of work. And one of the things I've asked Jack to do, we were just going through the budget, and so he's reached out to our engineer to take a look at, put together a proposal of what it would cost to come out and do an assessment of, is it Roberts Road?
Coming
Hill?
next week.
What is it?
He's coming next week.
Yeah, but is it Roberts?
Yeah.
Robbins?
No, it's Robin.
Robin.
The hill on Robin.
And if you've traveled that, you'll see that through the water line project up in the north end, this section was not touched. So they were able to come up the road, terminate, and come down the road and terminate. So we have this one big long stretch. If you drive the road, you'll see that appears to be a lot of settling going on. And we're concerned that the infrastructure, the drainage infrastructure under the road could be at the end of its life. It could be decaying and corroding. And
Yeah, they're all metal pipe in there. We dug up at the bottom of the hill a couple of years ago, found that a pipe had, been crushed. We tore it out and replaced it, but the hill itself, it's really pretty bad.
Well, that's a long time ago.
yeah,
Right?
so
Well, it
we're,
was 18 years or something in there?
Well, it's got to be all of that.
18, 20 years?
Got to be all of that.
so we're kind of waiting on that proposal. I don't know what it costs to come out to the site and do a total assessment of what we have. I'm sure they're probably going to have to use cameraing work, and then
No, we got to get inside the pipe to see what's going on with it.
and then you got drainage calculations, both sides of the road, the drainage ditches and stuff need to be worked. You got guardrails out there, so
Yeah.
it's
Curb.
it's a short stretch of road which could
Yeah.
cost you a lot of money to
Yeah.
repair. We're looking for a proposal where he would get it up to bid ready, so that we'd have an engineer's estimate on cost and it'd be bid ready. And then next year at this time, we'd be talking to you about, how do we want to proceed? So we have no idea what that $13,000, if that's a good number, if it's a bad number. Stormwater management, we've been holding, that was $20,000 for the past several years. It was because of the status of the permit not being approved by EPA. Those funds were not expended. But this year, we're still holding $10,000. We're going to know, we do know what the action items are. Working with the Regional Stormwater Coalition, one of the things I'll be working on in the next couple of months is actually developing our action plan for the year one of the permit. So we'll actually have a little bit better knowledge of what we could anticipate for costs for doing some work.
Great. Questions from members of the board? Jack, do you have any questions of us or comments? You're all set with this?
Yep, that's road agent. So we'll be bringing it back to you, like I said, when
Sure.
we get that engineer's estimate.
Okay, then let's go over to road maintenance.
Okay, road maintenance. Okay, I was just trying to figure out here why we had the reduction, but what we're capturing now is the new hourly rate for the part-time laborer that Jack had. Prior to that, there was a different person that held that position and was paid a higher rate. So that's why you see the decrease of $10,000 in salaries. Contracted services, Jack and I, last week, we kind of scratched our heads here a little bit on this one. But at the end of the day, what we're looking at, based on the feedback that he's received from advertising for contracted help this season. It looks like that we'll be doing, there'll be 2 contracted trucks. These are privately owned trucks. We'll be mounting, or they'll have their own plow and wing, or we'll be putting our plow and wing and salter on their trucks. They receive $75 an hour. They'll be the 2 contracted trucks. The person who does the sidewalk, it's under that 3 trucks. We pay them $75 an hour to do the sidewalk. So that's our estimate. There's no way to really estimate for plowing, but basically we have 12 storm events where we'll be out with our sanding trucks, 15-hour storm event, 3 trucks at $75 an hour. Typically, I think last year that we had, this number was 4. And because we bought the new truck, we see a little bit of savings here because now we'll just be hiring a person to drive our truck.
Seasonal operator.
So that's a quick explanation of why we're down $8,600. It's directly related to the fact that we're going to have a new truck online, hopefully sometime in October. And instead of paying $75 an hour, we're going to be paying $45 an hour for an operator.
Question about this. I'm just curious. Why don't we bid the sidewalk? Why do we offer an hourly wage? Why can't we just go out to bid and get a lower price for the sidewalk?
How do you know you're going to get a lower price?
How do you know you're not?
We don't. I mean, we've never done that particular thing. We had someone that had a blower asked to do it. That we've had 3 different people do that.
Yeah. I mean, we were getting inquiries that,
Next year I'll go to bid if that's what the board would like, but I don't think it's going to work out. I don't.
well, it just
We're
seems like,
fortunate to have the person that does it now.
well, there's
really
another person
The
in town
cost-
that wants to do it, but he can't
Well,
get in
I knew there was.
because it's not competitive bid. And it's basically the person you hired is at the top of the list. And this person that wants in can't get in.
Okay.
And-
Does he
and I
have a
mean-
snow blower?
Yeah, he's got a skid steer with a snowblower. But the point I'm making is that I'm wondering if we could save money in the budget if we went with a bid
I
option.
have no
instead
idea.
of an
Tell him to
hourly
give me a number and maybe I can work around it.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to it. If he has a number that he'd like to put in, if it's less, then I don't understand how he could, but yeah, fine.
I mean, if you had somebody come in and say, I'll do it for $7,000, typically
Yep,
we've
that's
been
fine.
paying,
Well, see, we don't know how much snow we're going to get, but by paying by the hourly rate on an hourly rate,
Mhm.
if we have a small amount of snow, then we only pay $8,000.
Yep.
You think this guy's going to come in for less than 8,000?
I have no idea.
Okay,
I
so
just- I
have
just-
him do it. I'm not opposed to it. If
I'm just
anybody
asking.
wants to come in and give me a price, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I expect to hear from him sometime this week, hopefully. Okay?
Well, I think you got a hold of Troy, maybe, did he? Or
Yeah, I spoke with him and I told him that we've been advertising and, but basically for this year, what we're looking for was, truck drivers. So we already had someone, working the sidewalk. So
I don't even know this guy.
we've
I
not bid
couldn't-
the sidewalk. Like we said, we've not bid it. Like we've not put it out for advertisement saying that, just a fixed cost, put your best price forward. Whether we get snow or not.
Mhm.
We've just done this hourly rate. If
It works.
But I thought there was a guarantee of X amount of hours. Like
there's a guarantee
It's a
built into the
guarantee for
contract.
all of them.
so you guarantee that they're going to get X amount of dollars anyway.
And it was
so-
put in back when in Roland's day. It was to help them with their insurance because at that time, gas, diesel fuel was sky high. Insurances were outrageous. Repairs on the trucks because they were old. Goes on and on and on. You're in business, every day there's a cost, right? I mean, you get in your truck, you get a flat tire. We're looking at $100, right? You haven't even gone to work yet.
Wasn't that also to make sure that they were available?
Exactly. They had to leave their trucks in our yard. We don't have the problems other towns have where they hire a contractor. He says, yeah, okay. We send him out on a route. He goes and runs up one road off to some mall somewhere. He's plowing down there, comes back after the storm, cleans his road. We don't have that issue. Our guys are here through every snowstorm until the storm ends and the roads are black. I don't think we can ask any more of them than that.
Troy, can you double check the figures there? The 664,551 total, 664,389. You have that it's a negative 138. I need you to check that.
6.
Isn't that $162 higher?
Where are you? 6.
He's
What
adding-
number?
He's
6.
adding, it's line 60. He's adding the two subtotals.
Yeah, 664,551 total. And last year's appropriation was 664,389, which was lower. So you have a negative $138, which probably should be a positive $162 increase instead of a negative, right?
Oh, is he on the, where are you? On the road agent? You
On the road maintenance,
road maintenance.
right,
Column P, all the way down to the bottom of the subtotal.
Oh, you're down at the bottom?
right.
Section.
Oh,
That should be up.
Something didn't add in correctly, I guess.
yeah, okay. There's probably a number. All right, I'll double check.
Okay,
that.
could you double check that? Because it should show a slight increase, not the decrease. All right, gentlemen, any, or Troy, I'm sorry. Go
All
ahead.
right, so that was contracted. Our salt purchases. We did receive a quote for salt, and it's actually down this year per ton. So $49.50 is our price that we're looking at. And last year, I think we were paying $52 a ton.
5250.
Is that guaranteed throughout the whole year?
Yeah,
Is that
I don't know why it's gone down.
State bid price?
It's just
It's unusual.
Huh?
It's unusual to see that
Yeah.
reduction.
Well, I was in Portsmouth the other day. They got enough salt there
Yeah, shippers
on
came in.
on the dock. If we don't get any snow, they're going to be sitting on
A lot of salt
surplus.
checkers getting filled. Yep.
Margaritas all around.
block grant, we just,
Order to ship.
under the highway block grant, account number 730, up $4,000. This is our best estimate of what we'll receive from the block grant program. Typically, we go with what we believe we're going to receive this year. We'll know that number probably in 3 or 4 weeks when we go to set the tax rate. So I think it's gonna be pretty close to that. Vehicle lease, account number 761. You'll see that we're going to be making the final payment to the pickup truck. I think it's this December. So that'll be paid off. But at the same time, in 2019, we'll be making our second payment for leasing the plow truck. So the difference between the savings of losing the pickup truck and adding the plow truck, at least for this year, the increase is 17.8.
Jack, that's a lease purchase, correct?
Lease purchase. Yeah. And we have not finalized the lease purchase payments yet for the plow truck. Something we'll be working on here soon. But
It doesn't come in till next month.
Now, what did you get? If I'm just
We'll
curious.
get a chassis. The chassis will go to Donovan, who
Yep.
was the lowest bid. And they'll put it all together, and when it's done, what'd they say, 3 weeks, 5 weeks?
Now, did you
something
get
like
the
that.
state bid again? Chassis?
Yep, everything's the same, yeah. Except we got a power front, angle plow, poly instead of steel. I'm
Okay.
tired of them rotting away. Same thing with the wing. The wing will be steel, though, it won't be poly. All the hydraulics will be put on. They'll have
Now,
a
is it a
bed, not a live
Dump
bed.
body with an integrated sander in it,
Oh.
or a separate?
Separate,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. with a sander in it. That'll have a sander, but
Oh,
it won't
it's a
be.
drop-in sander?
Yeah, it'll be a drop in.
Okay.
No live bed. Was another, what do we come up with? 50 grand, 30 grand? Something like that. I don't know, 25 or 30,000 more for a live bed.
Thank you. Anything else, Troy? You all set?
Oh, that's it.
Gentlemen? Jack, do you have any questions of us or anything you'd like to add?
You want me to stay or leave?
So then we're just thinking that we have one item on the agenda we want to talk to the board about a purchase of a tractor. So I'd like to have Jack stay for that if that's possible.
Well,
I mean,
how
if
about
we
if
could
we
just,
do that right now? when
that's what I
he's
mean,
here?
yeah.
It's pretty simple.
No problem.
A few months ago, you guys talked to me about, I talked to you about how the roads are growing in. There are some roads that we can't, that look like a tunnel. I'm sure you've all seen it. You told me to go out, see what I could find, come back and bring you the information. What's their name? I forgot.
HP Fairfield?
Fairfield. Fairfield has that program where they rent out machinery. We had the opportunity to do that. You didn't like the contract, or the lawyer didn't like it. So we didn't get the machine for the last 2 years. They sell them at the end of their lease. They have one that's for sale at the moment. Those machines are maintained after every 40 hours of operation. They're brought back to the plant. They change the oil, test the hydraulics, test the fuel. They really go through it. So that machine is up for sale. I'm bringing it to you as a purchase. He will explain the financing. He told me that today. He said, "Shut up, let me replace it." Okay.
Mr. Brown?
I had it the other way around.
I know you did. That's why I did that.
So, I have a little, if you click on the mowing menu, there's a picture of this tractor, little PowerPoint presentation there. But so what you're looking at, what Jack has reached out to Howard P. Fairfield. He went to the town where it happened to be in service that week. It's a 2014 New Holland tractor, 110 horsepower. It's got 2,100 hours on the tractor itself. It's got, what do you call it?
Mulch.
Boom, but it's,
Boom
one of
with
those
a mulch blade.
articulating booms or whatever with a 50-foot mower, a 50-inch mower, which, how do you describe the blades?
It's a mulching blade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it has like 100
they're not blades. They're
blades
like,
inside it.
there's a picture of it. If you hit a rock or something, they just kind of bang around. And,
Yeah.
you don't break anything.
Are they looking at it?
Are you able to see it? Yeah. So Howard P. Fairfield has said that they would sell this at the end of their season, which is coming up soon, for $57,889, as is condition. And the town has $61,784 sitting in an account. It's been sitting there for, Jack, over 10 years. Are you saying?
Over
You
that.
worked.
Yeah, it's a good 10 years.
And it's funds that have been left over from the stimulus funding that was given for the bike path. When that project was completed, the federal government, the person that Jack was working with, said, you keep the funds. This is stimulus money where they're not to come back to the government. You keep those funds and you use it towards any cost items to continue to maintain the sidewalk. And as you know, if you drive up and down Albuquerque, and well, Albuquerque is the one that received this funding, we're starting to see the grass that's growing in. The sidewalk itself is starting to get covered with the oaks and the pine leaves coming out. So there's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done there. On the same token, we've not done anything townwide for this. After this summer will be the third year.
Right.
We've done no roadside mowing, no
Take
cutting.
a ride up Brenton Street. Looks like a tunnel.
And if you ride around town, you
They all
can
look
really see it now. It's really
It's
starting to
terrible.
get in close. We're starting to see a lot of the intersections having sight distance issues. The one great thing about this tractor is, it's different than your typical roadside mowing where you just have the bush hog behind the tractor and you're just going down the road. This thing has a cab. It's air conditioned or heated. And, I've had discussions with Jack, and one of probably the best time of the year to go out and do this type of work with this type of mower set up is after the leaves have fallen off the trees. So late fall and early spring, sort of when we're in between seasons and we're waiting for the snowstorm. It's same as winter's kind of over, but there's not a lot you can do because, it's just too muddy and stuff. It's a good time to be able to do this kind of work, not as messy. There's also the ability that this tractor, once, if we're able to purchase it, we get it in service, it could be, we could be looking at maybe adding a snowblower attachment to it. We could put a plow on it. So it could become part of our snow removal fleet. And one of the things we're looking at is we're not making any guarantees here, but looking at the possibility if we had this tractor, maybe it'd be the right piece of equipment if we had a front mounted snowblower to do the sidewalk. It's a big piece of equipment, so we can't really, guarantee.
Well, we
that,
got a price of somewhere in the 10,000 range, right? For that front blower. So it's a possibility to do that too.
So basically, we have the money,
Yep.
no increase.
No, that has nothing to do with the taxpayer.
And you can handle it with in-house
Yep.
staff.
It's the same machine we've been using for years.
Gentlemen?
You had said you don't like plowing the bike path with a truck because of the height, and this tractor is a lot taller than a truck. So you plan on
Tractor is to cut that stuff down so we can get down there.
stuff overhead
Yeah.
above.
It'll
you
go
on the
over
bike
your
path.
head. You just drive along.
Yeah, but I mean, that'll enable you to take the tractor and use it to plow with then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the only issue will be that we got a couple areas where we got the guide wires from the utility poles.
Yeah, you could go around those and
We'll
reach
figure that
in
out.
with them out. It's not a big deal. I did that bike path every year I had that machine. It was exactly the same machine. And I ground everything on it every year for 3 or 4 years.
Questions? Gentlemen, your pleasure.
So the cost is $57,889.
Right.
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the 2014 New Holland 110 horsepower tractor as described for the amount of $57,889 to be funded from the Stimulus Bike Path Fund.
Moved by Mr. Brunel. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Weber. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 4-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Appreciate
research and thank you for coming in, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Okay, next up, Board of Selectmen. Now, okay, accounting. Who's going to be doing accounting?
I will be doing it. So the rest of the stuff I can do.
Okay.
The rest of the stuff on the agenda, except the planning board's chair here. So
Okay.
if we want to take care of that one right now.
Okay, and we have conservation or? Oh, okay.
I don't think there's anyone else here for budget.
Except myself, I'm a
Yeah.
member of the Conservation
Conservation too.
Commission.
So we could do planning and
There you
conservation.
go. Even though I wasn't ready for conservation, I
That's
could do
fine.
what.
Okay, all right, Mike, let's go to planning so that we can get to Mike, okay?
What numbers?
All right, so we're, as of right now, we only have an increase, projected increase, $650, and that's in wages. That's directly related to a longevity payment to the planning assistant. Everything else is the same projected cost as last year. NRPC is holding their hourly rate of $75 an hour. They had an increase last year, so this year they're holding that cost. And we're still estimating that we'll be using about 25 hours of their time per month. And that's about it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, in a nutshell.
Questions, members of the board? Michael, do you have any questions of us or any input?
Not really. Just to say that, obviously we've had a lot of projects come before the board this year. Our planner has been very busy. We had change planners, obviously. One planner left, the other one has come in. So we've had a busy season. So.
Okay. Gentlemen, you all set with planning?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Michael.
Okay.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you.
Board of Selectmen, Troy.
Do you want to just quickly, the only thing with conservation, Mike? Okay, so the under the conservation, we're still holding $1,500 for the prisoner program, property maintenance, but I think that's just a note.
Okay.
The prisoner program, I had a conversation with this program manager a couple weeks ago, and it's the program's pretty much as of due to staffing and the whole change in the way that they're processing the prisoners now. It sounded like what they were trying to tell me, that people aren't really going spending any time at the correctional facility. A lot of it's out going to different classes, and it's mandatory sentencing of going to classes and trying to really educate them and promote different behavior and stuff. So that program's going away. But this amount of $1,500 was not just the county prison program. It was trail maintenance, which we see Matt Lepore is on the Conservation Commission.
Right.
He's getting very active
Yes.
in trying to, make improvements down the Birch
On
Street
Birch, yeah.
property. And so the only really change here is $800 in the youth fishing derby. And it's just,
Yeah, I guess that was an issue last year. They had some issues down with the fishing derby, and they decided not to continue it. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a permanent thing or not. It's that I really can't answer that because I don't know.
I mean, that's what the chair,
Yeah.
Joan had told me that they don't, the Conservation Commission themselves just don't have the volunteers to run it. And I think they're starting to see a little bit decline in the participation. So when you start to look at all the work and effort that goes into it and the amount of participation, they've just decided to not continue to support it.
Okay, so basically conservation is 462 less than
Yes.
this year.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen, you have any?
No question.
Michael, you all set?
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening. Hope your leg's better.
Okay, Board of Selectmen, Troy?
Okay, so at this point, I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if you want to, because it's only me that would be doing the rest of the budget. I don't know if you want to entertain public comment at this time, or do we want to?
Why don't we
Finish.
just get this one out of the way and then we'll go to public comment.
Okay. All right, so under Board of Selectmen, it's obviously the Selectmen and myself. The increases that you see here is directly related to my contract. And down the last line, $1,000 increase in training. Again, this was something that we had agreed to support additional training for myself. Otherwise, no really significant changes here for new programs other than just wage increases and the training costs. So the bottom line of the budget's up $5,227. Total recommended budget $123,407.
Great. Questions? Members of the board?
No.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We will pause now to go into public comment session. Is there any member of the public that would like to offer comment? Hi, Tim. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Actually,
Yes.
good evening. Tim Hebert, 21 Century Lane.
Right.
You were going to say something?
Just to preface, Tim, we've been in conversation with our counsel,
I'm aware.
and okay.
Yep, I'm aware how this works.
So we will be accepting comment from you. But I will tell you, in response to your petition, it is still with counsel, and we are awaiting guidance from her. Vacations for all of us and her. So we will be addressing that. She's preparing guidance for us on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that knocks off number one easily.
Well, that's
I was
what I
going to
figured
ask
you
you.
might
So, yeah.
Yeah, and so the rest, we'll only be accepting comment from you. If you have specific questions, be glad to answer them, but we'll ask you to submit them in writing, and we'll be happy to respond in writing.
Okay.
So that we can able to research the information for you, get the best information that we have, and be able to provide it to you. Okay?
Very good.
All right.
Thank you. I guess that takes number two off because I was going to ask the board's opinions on the petition. So we'll get rid of that one. I wasn't here last week. I got to see the meeting on YouTube, and unfortunately, it wasn't the best environment or projection that the town of Litchfield wants to show the public. I think that both sides, being this table and that table, need to take a quick second before they answer questions or make comments, and just realize that they're not being personally attacked per se. I would hope that they're not being personally attacked, and just try to keep it in communication and not in argument and dig and feed it. So I know I talked to Joe, who's back here. We'll probably talk. He left. He called me. He was disappointed in the way he reacted. I think that I agree with him, and I can also say that the other side, the board, was a little curt with him. After talking to the individual before him, they were answering questions and being receptive and communicating back and forth with that individual and getting things done. But then when Joe came up here, he was cut dry, and he was told that he wasn't allowed to ask any questions and that it was only public comment. Could have been handled in a little bit better way. That's all I want to say about that. I'm sure Joe will talk about that later. Brings me to the other subject. You told me to come to you if I couldn't get any recourse on the issue that I brought to the fire chief. As of today, which is almost a few days shy of a month, after talking with the fire chief and handing information over to him, I haven't received a word from him. So I would like to bring the issue up to you guys, if that's okay.
Absolutely. And could I refer you to Troy?
Yep.
And at that point, like tomorrow or something, so you could get all of the information to him? Perfect.
Well, I have the information, and I would say that he needs to go to the fire chief because the fire chief has everything that I submitted to on PDF.
If I would invite you to speak with Troy, if you'd like.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's aware of that. And we will accept your request to pursue it from here.
The fire chief informed me this morning that I thought he had reached out to you, and he told me I don't know if he called and left a voice message, but he did say that he had met with you
He talked to me on the phone.
had a discussion with you, and that, it's a personnel matter, and he's addressing that matter internally. So I'm not sure it's a personnel matter, so I'm not sure what can be told, You brought something to our attention, and, the chief has gone out and done this investigation, met with that employee. It's going to be a personnel matter, so we're not going to be able to inform you of what the outcome is.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what is it that you would be looking to receive?
Well, this happened to me, and through the process, I found out that it's happened to this individual that works for Litchfield has done it to another individual. And in the course of knowing the employee from Litchfield, I know that he's tried to do it before, actively trying to use me to bring information to the Attorney General to go after a citizen in this town, because he just generally didn't agree with his opinion on how the fire station should be. And it was a means of seeking revenge. So this is not a single event. It's multiple events, and it's pretty serious. I mean, what it essentially comes down to is getting threatened that your job will be in jeopardy if you keep on voicing your public opinion. How can an employee do that? I mean, and again, we'll keep names out of it because it's personnel.
Well, we have to.
Yes.
And could you meet with Tim maybe to get further background on it so that you could share it?
Yeah, I've met with him, and
I honestly think we gave everybody. I mean, he has as much as I have. I gave it to him. So
It sounds like the chief's handling it internally. It's not a matter that's going to coming for us anyway.
So I really think
I
the
don't know how we
matter
close
is
the loop. That's the question.
yeah, and I don't know too, because it's a personnel matter, and I just want to be assured that this will never happen again, because it is absolutely wrong to try to censor a citizen's voice through threats, and to say that, then to follow through on the threats, which in 2 incidents he tried to follow through on.
Why don't we do that, and then we can have a conversation with the chief also. And
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Tim, this is all the thread that was going on WhatsApp, right?
Regarding the instant message that I posted of what the
I mean,
individual
that's where it
said.
started, right? It was on the WhatsApp page.
Yeah, and then right after that, for that incident, the individual then proceeded to go to my workplace and try to instigate and cause trouble to censor me.
I just think that the WhatsApp page got out of control during that whole topic. So
And I agree with that.
I think the best thing to do is let me have a conversation with the chief.
Okay.
What you're looking for is some type of written response.
Just, an apology and say that, this will never happen again, because it shouldn't.
I'm not sure if that's going to be what's going to be issued. I mean, we got freedom of speech issues here. You've got town policies, but that's, like I said, is a personnel matter. But if you're looking, you've been here, you've made it known, you feel you're being harassed through social media.
And since then, it has stopped, just to be clear.
So we're aware.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's a sensitive issue, Tim, and I'm sure you understand from your employment, the same situation there. So why don't, if you're satisfied at this point that we will pursue it and find out the situation, and hopefully that you will have no further issue with it.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go from that. I was actually going to comment on the sidewalk and say maybe we could do like an adopt the sidewalk thing, but that would involve a committee, and I am no way volunteering for that because my wife would make me the president of the downstairs couch committee, so I'm not going to go there. But that's
And
something
you would have been asked.
Yeah, and no. So I guess at that point, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Mr. Cabral?
Joe Cabral, 7 Brickyard Drive. These are concerns, not going to be questions.
Okay.
Okay. I'm very concerned with the reasoning for the $5,000 bonus being given to the part-time fire chief has not been clearly explained to the taxpayers. Okay. 2, concerned with the reason of the Board of Selectmen do not pursue the safety complex versus the fire station, knowing that the town municipal police, all of them, were in such need of space. Okay. Again, my concern is that this board addressed the fire station only, knowing that the safety complex will fulfill our town needs, save taxpayer money in the long run, on the long haul, instead of doing one building now and then one building later. Because things go up in price. So that was another one. This is the other part of this that somebody threw in. All of our municipalities are equally important. That goes for space, code of ethics, bonuses, most importantly, how they are treated by you guys. All employees, not just your buddies, is what the best for our town. Okay? Another one. I'm concerned about firemen's overtime. This will be a good one with the chief. At one point, the fire department was down very little overtime. Years ago, I guess. I feel there's no reason why on weeks there is training, I guess it's Wednesday nights, that a fire station can't work a 37-hour versus a 40-hour week and save the 3 hours for training. Okay. To me, that's a no-brainer. We would easily save taxpayers money, such as a small change, but I would expect that the chief would be working on trying to save the taxpayers money any way he can. It's my concern that Brent is in favor of the costly membership of the New Hampshire Municipal Association. You are a chairman of the board of the organization. In my opinion, the right thing to do would have been to abstain from a vote on that. Board of Selectmen turned down the NHMA, I guess a while back. On the very next meeting, when that board member whom was not in favor of the NHMA was not in attendance, you pushed the board to pass the vote. It's my concern you deliberately waited for that board member to be out. It's just a concern. So I'm concerned, but when I requested the results, this is for me. For the 4 years of research, Brett Lemire stated that was done regarding the building inspector's position being transitioned to the fire department. I was told there is nothing. You made a decision of that magnitude and stated you researched over 4 years period of time. An employee apparently retires from that position due to transition. And I needed some documents or paperwork that swayed your decision that affected that town's livelihood, employees' livelihood. All right. During the 8/13 Board of Selectmen meeting, a health inspector search was mentioned. Taxpayers have mentioned a petition requesting Kevin Lynch reinstatement, which he's already talked about. It's very concerning that you're not relaying your decision for the petition to the taxpayers. The taxpayers are waiting on the board and feel you know all along what you were going to do. For example, the fire chief knows of a couple people for that position, and it's what is stated at the last meeting. So basically, you made up your mind and disregarded the taxpayers' request. I'm concerned Kevin resigned to the stress and fear of being fired, losing all benefits, and having to deal with the constant harassment from the current fire chief. The code of ethics is supposed to be followed by all. I'm concerned the current fire chief is not following his own code of ethics. I'm concerned for the current town employees having to deal with the same behavior with the Board of Selectmen and the fire chief. And I'm very concerned what just happened because Kevin didn't resign with a lawyer representing him, that the next town employee you decide to treat the same way as Kevin was treated will get an illegal representation, sue the town, in my opinion, and with justification. Okay? I'm extremely concerned. The way things have been going, you don't mess with the people's livelihoods for God knows what reason. Somehow that's not given a lot to this community, and who did not deserve to get shafted the way he did by all of you in the closed meetings. Okay, with this, my concerns are voiced. Look forward to your next one. And that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to comment? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment and we will return to budget deliberations.
Can we get Pete's been in the back? Can we get him to this smoking thing that he wants to do for the rec?
Oh, well, I didn't know.
No. I know that. I'm just
Absolutely. Come on up. Absolutely.
that way. At least we can get him
Sure.
on. He doesn't have to listen to our budget stuff.
Sure. Come on up.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, this is for what now? Smoke-free parks? Item 5 on the agenda.
Great.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Peter Ames. I live at 21 Moose Hollow Road, a resident of town for about 12 years. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the Town Recreation Commission regarding a topic that came up in our deliberations that we thought best to bring forward to the Board of Selectmen. As you know, our parks are well used by many families in town. And one thing I brought forward based on my own experiences with my kids participating in events is the issue of coming forward with a tobacco-free policy at town parks. As I have seen some families smoking around the ball fields and that type of thing. Gotta say, by and large, most smokers are very respectful of trying to keep some distance. But there are a couple of folks that I've seen be a little bit too close to the field, so much that the kids could smell it. And so I brought this up in the context of recreation for really 3 things that I thought made sense around just having a blanket tobacco-free policy. So number 1, anytime there's smoke around, that's certainly a health concern. If you can smell it, then you're exposed to it. So that's number 1, particularly for the kids. Number 2 is just modeling of healthy behaviors. So if there's kids around seeing that as something that's normalized, it creates that as kind of a construct that is something I think we want to diminish as much as possible. And number 3, on our parks and town properties, there's the issue of littering. So where do cigarette butts go? That could be an issue for it just eyesore ending up on the town property. So those 3 things I thought were pretty relevant for the town parks. But someone mentioned in the meeting, why wouldn't we have this as maybe just a comprehensive policy at all town properties? Just make it kind of easy to understand and uniform. And we couldn't really think of a good reason why there would be smoking allowed in one town property, but not another one. So I was asked to come here on behalf of the rec committee to bring that forward as a potential proposal to consider just have a blanket tobacco-free policy. I do say tobacco-free versus smoke-free. Smoking is certainly the most concerning, but dip and smokeless is something there is a bit of a culture with baseball, we know, and so that can be an issue as well. So sometimes when you see water bottles full of dip and everything, that's also something that we don't really want on our properties. So that's what I want to bring forward here to you tonight. I'd be happy to take any questions on that.
Yes, I have. Now, are you aware, is the committee researched any other municipalities that may have done this and how it was done?
Yep. So the committee is not. I should mention this. My own professional background, I have done a lot of work in tobacco control and smoke-free policies with the American Cancer Society for a number of years. So through that, I have learned a little bit about how these things have been implemented. So there have been many municipalities adopting smoke-free, tobacco-free ordinances, particularly over the last couple of years. There was actually a big article in the Concord Monitor in the last week or so about those parks going smoke-free. So it is certainly the trend. And the big question that comes up is, who's going to enforce it? How do you have that work? And what I've learned is that almost all these policies are really self-enforcing because you create this culture where it's out there, it's visible, and so it's much more difficult to break a policy if there's something visible out there showing it. So most of them are just self-regulating, where you'd have even just another parent, another neighbor come in and say, hey, would you mind? That's the policy. And so there really isn't a need for a heavy lift for some kind of enforcement beyond really just making sure it's visible and that it's almost always taken care of just by neighbors reminding other neighbors that that's the policy.
Could I ask personally if I would like to know if any other municipalities have done this?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, I'm certainly supportive. But if we were to entertain this, I would like to make sure it's done correctly.
Sure.
And I would like to know how those other municipalities did do that.
Yep.
So that, we wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
We'd also be on firm legal footing.
Yep.
And we would know how to progress in labeling and in educating the public and the reasons why, et cetera.
Sure.
So, any other board members comment on that?
No, I agree with you.
Is that okay?
That's a good path. That's a good path to go.
I mean,
down,
In a quick search I did here, it shows that 9 towns have already done it in New Hampshire.
and it's already
9 or 90?
9.
9.
9 have done it. This was as of July 24th of last year.
Okay, thank you. And so what would the Recreation Commission like?
So
Do you want to do that research and then come back with a proposal?
yeah, more than happy to do that. So I can lay out kind of what the process was. I think you're very right as far as how you roll it out is important and
Right.
the visibility of the sign. If there are any legal questions, I'd be happy to research that. I think you're very correct that, the path has been already kind of laid out there, so we don't need to reinvent it. So I'd be happy to do that. And then,
And for the residents of town or the people that use the facilities, I'd hate to have them drive up someday and bang, see signs.
Yep.
Without an education process ahead of time or an effective date down the road as of a certain date, please know that this will be tobacco free.
Yep.
And, give them, an opportunity to accept it,
Yep.
to get on board and make sure that we're doing it properly.
so I think that's a great point, and it reminds me of one thing that I know has been a common practice is setting a date when it starts that kind of coincides with the new season or whatever,
Right.
So we're going into after the fall, but maybe the spring would be a good time when people come back out. That way there'd be plenty of time and we could remind them in the months leading up to that. So I think that makes a lot of good sense as well.
Great. Any questions or comments for
Peter, do you know what you're saying? You have been involved, with the Lung Cancer Society.
Yep.
How does vaping play into this? Is that
Yeah.
considered smoke? Is it considered tobacco? What?
So it's a great question. So
I just kind of wonder. That's the new.
yeah. So littering isn't as much an issue, but the secondhand exposure, the jury is kind of out on that. The research is really still being done. Tobacco, we've got decades, right, of science on that. Vaping, it's still not entirely clear what's in all of those things, and it's certainly not clear what the long-term effective exposure is. So we know there is kind of a secondhand exposure because, again, if you can smell it, then you're being exposed. So it is a bit of a concern, but there's nothing more poisonous than tobacco, so it's probably less toxic. But the bottom line is we really don't know. But for the second thing I mentioned there about kind of the visibility and the construct, that's definitely a concern because that's really where kids are moving to with a lot of flavor vapes and that kind of thing. So that certainly is a problem.
Would you be thinking that this regulation would prohibit vaping, or are you thinking that was something off to the side?
Yeah. So I say personally, not speaking for the rec committee, I would be fine with that because, again, it's the modeling that we don't really want to have for the kids to say, oh, that's something normal that people do in the parks. So I think the less of that you have kids seeing, the better. Putting the rec hat back on, I'd want to look at, I think, seeing what other towns have actually banned vaping in addition to tobacco because, again, the science isn't as clear and the littering thing isn't as much an issue. So there's probably less compelling for town interests in that
Doesn't
sense.
vaping still carry the same warning that it's an addictive, that it contains
it depends on
addictive
what you're putting in
chemicals?
the vape.
I've just seen it, so you sit here and I've just noticed that the cigarette smoking you just don't see it that much anymore. And the people that do smoke, usually pretty courteous, and they're off in the corner.
Yeah.
But this vaping thing now, that's just sort of,
It's all over the place.
it's all over the place. And it's not, I don't know if I've even had it blown in my face yet or not. I just kind of see it.
Walk in Boston, you'll see it. Pembroke just
Right.
passed it.
Walk in Boston,
Yeah.
And one of the ads,
Always just says
on
it did,
TV
yeah.
for one of the vaping says afterwards it's an addictive. It contains an addictive substance, the same way as cigarettes contain nicotine. I don't know if it's nicotine or whatever,
It is.
but they do have a warning afterwards. So why, I would think that you'd want to, as a model to our young people, want to preclude everything from seeing.
So Pembroke did it, but they did it for just Memorial Field only. And so
Okay.
they basically laid it out and include all tobacco products plus vaping
They did
and
it.
any paraphernalia related to that.
Gotcha.
It was actually just the 22nd was in the Concord Monitor. So someplace to go look.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind going back and certainly would entertain a proposal, recognition, we'll go from there.
Sounds like a plan.
And thank you for your work and for presenting this.
My pleasure. And thank you to Kurt for helping me bring it forward.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Pete.
Okay, on to H, reevaluation of property, right? Because we did selectmen, accounting. Did we do accounting?
No.
I'm sorry, accounting.
We did.
We're on accounting.
We did Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
They're not voting. All right, accounting?
Yep.
4150?
.10.
40,
What? John.
Again, the increases here are directly related to wages and adjustment in health insurance. Nothing else really significant here.
Okay, now my budget won't come up anymore. It says I don't have permission.
Did we bounce you out again?
Gee.
Why should bounce out?
Do you log yourself up maybe? No?
Nope. Let me do it. Go like this. Let's try it again. Let's try this one.
So slide the bottom. Can you open full doc?
What's that?
Slide, roll down a little bit. You don't have access at all. I'd close your browser and log back in. Fred, what are you messing with him for?
Is he in or not?
No.
No, somehow I get dropped out.
Oh, well, let me send you.
He's in the site, okay. Slide all the way down. Yes, let's see if he's signed in. I'll leave him further. You're not signed in, that's why. He's not signed in. Go all the way down. Slide
Oh,
down. See where it says sign in? Log back in again.
but I didn't have to do that
It's probably
before.
expired.
Oh,
You probably get it in cash.
there we go.
He's in
Thank
now.
you. Glad I have my computer person here. All right, 415010. Go ahead.
All right, so again, the adjustment in wages and health insurance.
So an increase of 8,151.
Yeah. So your bottom line is you're up $8,151. Total recommended budget $256,510.
Questions from members of the board? Hearing none, we will go on to
What's our next one? Street. Oh no,
Evaluation.
revaluation of property.
Yep.
Which it might be assess. Oh, it is revaluation of property. 4152.
10.
No change here. This is a contract that we have, so we have it in place. I will let you know that we're going to need, every year we raise $47,410. It's a 5-year contract. Some of those funds are supposed to be encumbered to save up for that 5-year update. And we have been spending those funds on the Pennachuck abatement and now the Eversource abatement. So something that Karen and I are monitoring, making sure that when we go to the year end this year, we may be, asking to encumber some funds for the upcoming update. We'll see.
Okay, any other questions on reevaluation? All right, hearing none, legal expenses.
Okay, we're going to need some discussion here about what we wanted to do. For our general legal counsel, $15,000 appears to be a reasonable amount. The Mitchell Group, again, I say this every year. I've worked with several different municipal law firms. The pricing that they charge, the quality of the work that we get out of them is just unbelievable. I've seen towns, the amount of work that we get out of Mitchell Group, 2-3 times this amount. And the turnaround is nothing as compared to the Mitchell Group. So $15,000 a year for general legal services, very fortunate community. What I don't know is what direction we want to go with our special legal counsel regarding the PFOA matter. Last year, we carried $50,000. One of the things that we need to do is really have a face-to-face meeting with special legal counsel. Probably should try to get something scheduled.
Right, because we haven't signed off on.
We haven't done anything, and of course, we haven't had any feedback from St. Cobain either with our demands.
Right.
So unfortunately, we are going to have to continue to initiate that discussion, and it costs money every time we pick up the phone and talk to special legal counsel. So this is the same amount that was recommended last year, and I know it's going to be a discussion with budget committee, and I think the taxpayers as to what we're doing and where we're going with this.
How much we used this year, though?
What's that?
How much have we used this year? The 50,000 we.
This year, I want to say we probably wouldn't surprise me that $15,000 already.
Just 15 of the 50.
Okay, just 4153. Oh, it's all combined in our printout, but we've expended $30,000.
So how about if you contact them, set up the meeting, and before we finalize this budget, let's come back to it.
Yeah.
And we'll get a better handle on.
Yeah, I think the board needs the face-to-face. We have two new members that, I don't know, you've met.
Yeah.
St. Cobain, I'm sorry. But I think we need to set face-to-face and really discuss our strategy. And
All right, why don't we do that? Troy? And do you mind, gentlemen, holding off on this until we get a better handle on it?
We're not voting on anything anyway tonight.
Well, no, but I mean, we'll review it again.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, zoning board?
No change.
no change. $596. This number seems to work. We have very competent zoning board. They do highly technical legal work in-house themselves. The chairman, vice chairman, really good group. Very fortunate. $596 a year.
Wow. Questions or comments, Jim? Okay, on to cemeteries.
$41.95. Recommending the same amount. I just want to point out that this one should have the $1,000 that we under the cemetery groundskeeping. You'll see we have the spring cleanup, the prison community service. So usually we did not have it this year. It doesn't sound like we're going to be having that service again next year, based on the conversation I just had. So we're still just carrying $1,000 for cleanup. One of the things that the cemetery trustees were looking at this spring, it turned out that they ended up hiring someone, but they were actually reaching out to some of, I think it was the Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, and they were looking to see if they would do the spring cleanup. In exchange, they would give them some money for doing that. It didn't work out, but I think that's the direction the trustees are looking to try to accomplish.
So we leave it as is for now, and
yeah, I think the $1,000 is a good number. So whether we use the prisoner program or if we end up hiring a
they still need
contractor,
to do it.
they
Right?
still need to do it. So the $1,000.
Oh, okay. So then we just okay. Questions, gentlemen? You all set with that?
Good.
Yep.
Okay. Advertising, regional associations.
Those I don't have numbers for either one of those. That's NHMA and Nashua Regional Planning Commission.
Okay.
Welfare, I think is the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What number is welfare?
We're at the
It's
end.
probably called something else.
I think it's
Vendor payments.
Yeah, 445.
4445.
Yeah, they renamed it. It used to be only vendor payments.
Yeah.
They didn't want to say welfare. Years ago.
I should probably change it back. I call it welfare. But all right, so the numbers that we've used for the past 2 years are good, solid numbers. I know that it's easy for selectmen and budget committee members to take a look at our actual spend rate, and when you're looking to save a little bit of money, find $5,000 of savings here or there, this is an easy account to turn to. We've been very fortunate these past 2 years. We've not had a situation where I've had a family that's in a homeless situation, or having a serious medical issue where they're not able to work, and we're in a holding pattern waiting for insurance policies to kick in or Social Security. And those situations can happen. And when they do happen, you can easily spend $8,000 a year trying to provide interim support until we're able to get, support in place from other agencies. So I'm just recommending that we hold our placeholder at $10,000. I think this year we've maybe spent $1,000 of that. What happens though, we will start to see some activity this fall, and as we get closer to year end. So you'll see a little activity.
Questions? Okay, patriotic purposes, the same.
Patriot 4583, same number. I know that if you look at 17, we had an actual expense of $1,940.
Wasn't that the flags?
I think that was the flags and
Or the holders.
the holders and stuff. So we charged it there. Maybe a little bit to do with it was all flags actually, yeah, that caused it to go over. But the 1250 is primarily this account is to support the Memorial Day ceremonies down at the old fire station.
Ironically, we just got the bill for the wreath from Memorial Day.
I know. We just saw that.
Isn't it
Really?
funny?
Yeah.
$450.
Yeah.
But it's weird to see it on Labor Day. It's Memorial Day,
Yeah. Sometimes we get those. Those are always nice to get in January 2019.
Yeah. Oops.
Okay, on to debt service.
Okay. So
Finally have a number in this.
we have a number. We've been debt free for a while, but in 2019, you will be making payments, and you see it's broken out in principal and interest. So the principal payments will be $174,359, and interest is $84,600, bringing a total debt service of $258,000. Screen's too big. 960, is it?
Yeah.
And this represents the fire station, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, questions? All right. That concludes for tonight, budget review.
Those are the easy ones.
I know.
Yeah.
Dang it.
On to item 3, inspection on building services review. Troy.
All right. All right. So attached to your portal, you'll see we have a proposal from Municipal Resources Incorporated. It's in the amount of $5,500. This proposal is similar to the one that we are currently working on with the Public Works Department. This one specifically will do an assessment of the building permitting, inspectional services processes, as well as our fire safety job functions for this department. And the whole purpose of this is to have an outsider come in. They have a couple people that have done this type of work. They're retired now. They're going to come in, spend some time, and look at the whole step from start to finish on how we process permits, on how we document our inspections, how we do enforcement action, taking a look at our workload, how we interact with other departments, and come back to you with a conclusion of, yeah, what we're doing is spot on, or that, you know, maybe there's a lot of things that we're doing that's not really best practices of today, and recommend how we make those changes. We're also looking for guidance on whether this position should be a full-time position or a part-time position, and that should come out as part of the study. We propose to expend the funds. We'll just charge this to the building department's salary line due to the vacancy that we have. We'd be able to capture the costs from those unexpended salaries. At the same time, I wanted the board to be aware that after Labor Day, MRI has stated that they will have an inspector available for us. Again, it'd probably be like 2 days a week, but depending on our workload. The interim inspector that we currently have right now is, we've been notified he's going to have some health issues that need to be addressed, and he's got some other personal issues that need to be addressed. So even just not as accountable as, getting someone. What we're hearing from the homeowners and contractors out there is that they just need the consistent hours. If we say we're going to be here Tuesdays and Thursdays, we need to be here, available to process permit applications and answer questions.
Great. John?
It's good.
I think it's a great idea to either validate.
I think before we go forward with anything, we've got to really do an assessment of what we've got, where we can determine we're heading,
Correct.
and get a second opinion on whether,
Excellent.
right?
So do we need a motion or anything?
So I entertain a motion to approve the contract with MRI.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Schaefer.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Brunel to approve the contract to study the building services. Questions, comments?
Do you know when they'll start? You said they'll start after Labor Day?
I think after Labor Day, they'll be starting this year. And we should be, I asked what the update was on the Department of Public Works study, and they have it in draft form in-house. They're going to be reviewing it for about another 2 weeks. And then we should be able to receive our first draft.
Okay.
So it's coming.
Any further questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstain? Motion carries 400.
The last one is ATV
Okay.
use on town property and on conservation property. So what they're looking at, the conservation has asked us to consider adopting an ordinance that would prohibit ATVs on Moores Falls property and the Birch Street property. I did ask the chairman why, if we're going to go through the effort of adopting an ordinance, why would we not do this townwide on all properties, conservation, rec? However, they had that discussion at the conservation level, and they felt that it was best that we start off small on these two particular properties. This is where they're seeing the activity. They're not seeing it on the other properties, and they just like to take action on these two properties at this point in time.
Can I suggest that we contact Fish and Game? The only reason I say that is I had this issue in Northwood, and Fish and Game was able to help with a bunch of issues related to this.
Yeah.
Language, what we should be doing, how to do it. And they have they have compliance people for ATVs.
Yeah.
And just so that we do it correctly, we do it educationally, make sure that everybody knows that and it's time certain that these will be prohibited, and we do it legally. So
Okay.
can we get guidance and then we will, okay. Gentlemen, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Other business administrative report. Troy.
All right, I just have one item. It's our upcoming meeting. So in October, the auditors would like to come in and meet with you on October 1st to go through the audit. That's not one of our regular meetings. So that would be the first Monday of the month. The October 8th meeting is a holiday. It's Columbus Day. So we're closed here. So I'd like to see if the board be willing to change the meeting to October 1st. I can have the auditors come in. I think this time of the year will result in having a back-to-back meeting, but at this time of the year, trying to wrap up budgets and stuff like that, it's probably not a bad thing.
It works.
October 1st. Yeah, I'm fine.
Good.
Yep. Okay with that, Jen?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'll proceed, update the calendar and send out a notice to everyone because I know Kevin's not here.
All set?
All set.
Selectmen reports. Mr. Weber?
None at this time. I wasn't in attendance in the last meeting.
Okay. Mr. Brunel?
Budget meeting was last week, just prepping for the budget reviews that are starting, obviously, I think in the next month. No concerns with our schedule. Everything looks good on our side. They're pleased to see the fire department or the fire station progress and
Yeah.
looking forward to see how it progresses on budget.
Well, the roof trusses came in finally.
Truss is there, but the beam's not up there, I don't think yet.
No.
Yeah. It was on its way, but it's not
Why
here.
wouldn't trust it?
Some of them came in from the south end, the rest of them came by my house.
But that's it, nothing else.
Okay, the only I have is that Wednesday we meet again with the police negotiating team. And that's one of the issues we'll be discussing later.
Rec commission, we had Peter do a discussion on smoking, and that's really just about it with the rec right
Okay,
now.
now how did you make out with the little library thing the following night?
Oh, yes, that's right. Good thing you brought that up. The carries got approved. I mean, we said they could go ahead and do it, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of ironic. The Girl Scouts had been approved like 2 years ago to do
I
this.
said that. I thought they
Yeah,
were.
I know.
I couldn't remember what it was.
But it was 2 years ago. It wasn't a year ago. And I guess, throughout their process, they have to do fundraising and, buying the materials and stuff and grant writing and stuff. So it took them a long time. But they didn't respond because of the meeting. They responded because they're getting close to being ready now. So it's just ironic that the carries and the Girl
Wow.
Scouts thing
Okay.
came through. But what we're going to do is we're going to work it out so that the Girl Scouts will do 3 fields in town, and the carries will still get the sawmill,
Oh, nice.
that spot by the sign. So she'll still
Nice.
be able to take care of her little
Excellent.
library, and the other ones, the Girl Scout ones, will go to Innisfield, Brickyard, Darapon, and Jeff Lane. So
Kudos to you guys. It's great.
thanks.
Excellent.
But that was all behind the scenes. That was kind of like, after
Yeah,
the meeting,
right.
all of a sudden I get
Right.
this email from the Girl Scouts, and I'm like, wait a minute, did you guys just watch the meeting? And Marissa Fluette, who's a lot of people know in town, she was very easy to work with, and she's willing to be flexible. So
Excellent. Thank you. We have no items removed from consent. We have no other business to attend to. Next
I know
meeting.
Can I just say one thing? I know it's getting late, but can we just quickly go through the warrant articles, just a draft of the articles as they exist today? It'll only take about 5 minutes just to throw it out there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what? It always, every year we kind of run out of time for warrant articles, and
Well, they're going to be there no matter what we do.
I know.
I mean,
You see the drop, you got them?
yep. I mean, the first 5 are the standard ones.
So, so we have the election of officers, then we're holding some stuff for planning board. We have the operating budget. We have a placeholder for the police contract. The thing right now is road improvement projects. So you don't need to have any discussion about this, but Jack and I will be working on, a paving plan this year. And so the board, I know the board never voted on this issue, but there was some discussion about whether this article, the amount would be eliminated for a couple of years or cut back or maintained. So I just want you all to
Well,
kind of think about that.
let's clarify. We took it out, we put it back in because we didn't have the payment this year.
Right.
I
It
just,
was well stated by the members at the time that we would look at removing it again because we don't want the first year of the impact to be significant. But I think we still got to develop the plan and the warrant article and make that decision because some things could change, obviously.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to throw that out there, make sure we are aware of it. It's, and then we have the earned time accrual expendable trust fund. I have a placeholder for the land purchase that we haven't signed the purchase and sale agreement yet. Still waiting to get that back. A placeholder for Keno and a placeholder for the town flag. That's what I'm aware of right now. If you're driving to work or taking a shower and something comes in your head, you send me an email or text me so I can get a placeholder.
There is one you and I, we talked about. There is the life cycle replacement for all the IT gear. So
Okay.
we're at 6 years right now. We're at end of contracts. We're on no more maintenance. We're getting to that point. We got to start reinvesting.
Mhm.
And I'll have numbers, but I think we
Okay.
should have a placeholder because I don't think we could. Somebody could probably go in the regular budget, but
What is it?
gonna
Well, you don't
be-
know what the number is, but
I don't even want to say.
yeah. So,
Okay.
Because
Okay.
it's cameras. It's
so I'll put it in there. Just
Bunch of stuff
I
to follow.
don't know what we'll call it. A communication placeholder. What is it? What would you call it for generic?
I was just call it information technology.
Communication.
life cycles.
Yeah, just as a
For
placeholder.
something.
So we know.
Yeah, those numbers will start coming through. I
Okay.
get them all worked out.
I apologize. I just wanted to kind of get that out there because we just started the budget process and this process goes pretty fast, so.
Okay. Again, next meeting, Monday, September 10th. And we will adjourn the meeting only after we come out of a non-public session, which I'm going to ask for a motion and a vote for now. We will do a non-public session and a non-meeting, which is allowed by law to discuss collective bargaining negotiations. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91A:3 2C, reputation of any person.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Brunel,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Schaefer. A roll call vote. Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Brunel.
Yes.
I vote yes. Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, sir. Motion carried.